Right guys, I've got a brand new shocking news story for you. This is going to break the Labour Party. The Labour is finished. There'll be no Labour government. They won't win the next general election. It's absolutely devastating, this story. Do you want to know the story? Jeremy Corbyn takes a nap. That is the story. And when I first heard that this story was circulating on the Daily Mail, I thought maybe he'd fallen asleep in Parliament. I thought maybe he'd fallen asleep while Boris Johnson was giving a speech, or while the Queen was giving her Queen's speech. I thought he'd fallen asleep in the middle of an important debate. No, if you actually look it up, it's a picture of him asleep on a fucking train. And the issue that the Daily Mail is taking with this is that he was sleeping while we all cheered on England for the Rugby World Cup. Who fucking cares? Breaking news, 70-something-year-old man needs a nap every now and again. How the fuck is this newsworthy? Last week, or the week before, they were saying David Lammy was a clip in the Commons when he wasn't. He was on his phone and they just cropped it out to look like, because he's looking down, cropped it out to look like he was asleep. Now, whether he should have been on his phone during a Commons session is up for debate. Whether he was sleeping is not, because he was looking on his phone. It is plain to see. The man posted the video on Twitter himself and said, "You've cropped this out. I wasn't asleep, I was on my phone." But that correction doesn't get mentioned in the Daily Mail. They ran that story and they just ignored it when it was corrected. They didn't issue a correction or a clarification or an apology or anything. When Jacob Rees-Mogg fancied a little lie down on the front benches of the Tory side of the chamber, Daily Mail didn't say a word, even though people were physically shouting at him to sit up straight. You're in the middle of a debate on one of the most important issues facing our country for centuries, arguably, and you're lounging around like you've got nothing better to do. And the Daily Mail just ignored that. When Michael Gove turned up to a Commons session, clearly off his tits on drugs, the man couldn't stand straight. All the tabloids ignored that. But Jeremy Corbyn falls asleep on a train, takes a little kip, because maybe he's tired. All of a sudden, that's a controversy. You know what this reminds me of? It's the Diane Abbott story all over again. Now, I'm no massive fan of Diane Abbott. I believe some of the things she has to say are downright silly. But she had a mojito. Do you remember? She had a mojito on a train or a DLR. And there was a big scandal in the paper about it. Breaking news. She has a cheeky drink on a tube, just like the rest of us. Who the hell cares whether she has a mojito or Corbyn falls asleep on the train? He's turning up for the debates. He's getting involved in the debates. He's answering questions. He's giving questions. He's not falling asleep. He's not off his tits on drugs. He's not even checking his phone like David Lammy was. But this is all because they cannot attack the man on policy. It is nigh on impossible. Every time the Daily Mail or these other shit rags have tried to attack him on policy, it has backfired in their face hard. They tried it with the old tax. They said Labour was going to clamp down and going to have greater income tax and all that, and then it emerged that you had to earn 80k a year for it to actually affect you in any way, shape or form. That didn't work. They very often will go for the man personally, and very rarely go after actual policy, go after what he actually wants to do with the country. They will very rarely scrutinise the policy, scrutinise the Labour manifestos and say there's a hole in that, there's a hole in that and whatever. They will only go after personality, after who he is as a person, whether he's not wearing his poppy straight, remember that one? Whether he's not bowing deep enough at the centre path on Remembrance Day. Get ready for that, because that's around the corner. Whether he's falling asleep on the tube, whether he met somebody 30 years ago who said something vaguely racist, whether he met somebody else 30 years ago who might have been a member of the IRA. All this stuff is guilty by association, so they're trying to accuse him of some of the things that other people have done just because he happens to have been associated with them. Now, I'm no politician, but logic tells you that politicians have to meet a wide variety of people. Yes, he stood up on a stage and said to our friends in Hamas and our friends in Hezbollah, blah, that does not mean he agrees in any way, shape or form with the violence that these organisations are committing. He stands opposite Boris Johnson every single Wednesday and calls him my honourable friend. That does not mean he likes him. That does not mean he agrees with him. It's called diplomatic language. But the Daily Mail and the Sun and the Express and the Telegraph won't tell you that. They will just tell you he's a bad, bad person. They will not criticise his policies, what he wants to do, anything like that. And you know what Plato said? You know what he said? In the event that the argument is lost, slander becomes the weapon of the loser. They can't criticise his actual policies. It's impossible. Actually, it's very possible if you actually put some thought into it and actually reason your argument and actually formulate an actual argument. I could have an ounce of respect for these papers if they were actually formulating a logical, sensible argument against his policies and saying he would not be a good Prime Minister because these policies are flawed. I could actually have an ounce of respect for him. But like I said on my Facebook feed the other day, as long as the Tories are in power and as long as Labour has somebody who is not a Blairite in charge, I will vote Labour every single day. Labour does not have my loyalty by any means. By any means. Labour did not have my loyalty under Blair, barely had my loyalty under Miliband. I thought he was a step in the right direction. My loyalty will change with whoever I think will do best for the working class. My only loyalty is to my class. That is it. And I actually think I said this on my last video. I will vote Labour every single time, provided they don't have a Blairite in charge, they have an actual socialist in charge of a socialist party, and the Tories are in power. That's how it's got to be. That's what I have to say. They can't criticise the man on policy, so they go after his personality, and we've seen it since he came to power. Very, very rarely. You can look at it yourself. Go and pick up a copy of the Daily Mail once a week or something, or even every day for a week. Read the papers, read the pieces on Corbyn. They will go after his personality. They cannot go after his actual policy, because they know point for point his policies are more likely to be popular with the working classes and maybe even the middle classes than they are Tory policies. They know that on a case-by-case, point-by-point analysis, Corbyn wins every single time. And that's what I was saying in the last video about this election that Boris Johnson wants to have. He wants to make it a single issue election, Brexit. Because he knows that the Tories have a consistent Brexit plan. They've had a consistent Brexit policy. Get it done, get it out of the way. Shit policy, but it's a policy. He knows that Labour have flip-flopped a bit, they've been a bit wishy-washy on the whole subject, and they're not that steady on their feet. They seem to be getting a bit better, but they're not that steady. He wants to make it entirely about Brexit, because he knows, even Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, the leader of the Tory party, knows if you put the Tories up against the Labour Party on a point-by-point, case-by-case basis, the Tories will lose. Theresa May was physically laughed at during the last election campaign because she asked the question, where's Labour's manifesto? Where's it going to get funded? Where's the money going to come from? People physically laughed at her and said to her they have fully costed their manifesto, the only party to do so. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.